Chapter 10. A few more adventures. Everyone was pleased to be in the plane, because they thought they could fly away from the land of dreams. After a second or two, Beth leaned over to see how high the plane had come from the ground, and she gave a loud cry. "What's the matter?" asked Joe. "Joe, this isn't a plane after all," said Beth in astonishment. "It's a bus. It hasn't got wings any more, only wheels, and we're sitting on seats on the top of the bus." "Well, I did think it was a plane." "Gosh, aren't we flying then?" said Joe. "No, just running down a road," said Franny. Everyone was silent. They were so disappointed. Then a curious noise was heard. Splishy, 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 splishy. The children looked over the side of the bus, and they all gave a shout of amazement. "Look," said Joe, "the bus is running on water, but it isn't a bus any more. Oh, look, it's got a great sail." Everyone looked upwards, and there, billowing in the wind, was a great white sail, and Joe was now steering with a tiller instead of a handle or a wheel. It was very confusing. "This is definitely the land of dreams, no doubt about that," groaned Joe, wondering whatever the ship may turn into next. "Just awful part is, we're awake, and yet we have to have these dream-like things happening." An enormous wave splashed over everyone. Franny gave a scream. The ship rocked backwards and forwards and to and fro, and everyone clung tightly to one another. "Let's land somewhere, for goodness sake," cried Rick. "Heaven knows what this ship will turn into next. A rocking horse, I should think, by the way it's rocking itself backwards and forwards." And guess what? No sooner had Rick said that than it did turn into a rocking horse. Joe found himself holding on to the mane, and all the others clung together behind him. The water disappeared, and the rocking horse seemed to be rocking down a long road. "Let's get off," shouted Joe. "I don't think the way this thing keeps changing. Slip off, Moonface, and help the others down." It wasn't long before they were all standing on the road, feeling rather confused. The rocking horse went on rocking by itself down the road. As the children watched it, it changed into a large brown bear, which scampered on its big paws. "Ha," said Joe, "we got off just in time. Well, what are we going to do now?" A man came down the road carrying a green covered tray, and on his head he rang a bell. "Muffins, fine muffins," he shouted. "Muffins for sale." "Ooh, I really feel as if I could eat a muffin," said Beth. "Hey, Muffin Man, will you have 6 muffins, please?" "We'll have 6 muffins, please." The Muffin Man stopped and took down his tray off his head and uncovered it. Underneath were not muffins, but small kittens. The Muffin Man seemed to think they were muffins. He handed one to each of the surprised children, and one to Moonface and Saucepan. Then he covered up his tray again and went on down the road, ringing his bell. "Well, does he think we can eat these kittens?" said Beth. "Oh, but aren't they dear little things? What are we going to do with them?" "They seem to be growing," said Joe in surprise, and so they were. In a minute or two the kittens were now too heavy to carry, and they were big cats. They still went on growing, and soon they were big as tigers. They played around with the children, who were really rather afraid of them. "Now listen," said Joe to the enormous kitten. "You belong to the Muffin Man. You go after him and get on to his tray where you belong. Listen, you can still hear his bell. Go on now, run. To everyone's surprise and delight, the great animals ran off down the road after the Muffin Man. He'll get a surprise, said Rick with a giggle. Don't let's buy anything else from anyone else. It's a bit too risky. What we really should do is try to find the hole that leads from the land to the faraway tree, said Joe seriously. Surely you don't want to stay in this peculiar land forever. Gosh, we never know what is happening from 1 minute to the next. I feel very sleepy again, said Moonface, yawning. I do wish I could go to bed. Just as he said that, there came a clippity-clippity-clop noise from behind them. They all turned, and to their astonishment saw a big white bed following them, trotting along on all of its 4 legs. Gosh, said Rick, stopping in surprise. Look at that bed. Where do you think it came from? The bed stopped just by them. Moonface yawned. I do like to cuddle down in you and go to sleep, he said to the bed. The bed creaked as if it was pleased. Moonface climbed onto it. It was soft and cosy. Moonface put his head down on the pillow and shut his eyes. He began to snore very gently. This made everyone else feel tired and sleepy too. One by one they climbed onto the big bed and lay down. The bed creaked in a very happy way. Then it went on its way again, clippity-clippity-clippity-clop, on all its 4 legs, taking the 6 sleepers with it. Now, what had happened to Silky? Well, she had found Dame Washalot and Mr. What's-his-name and the angry pixie, and had told them how the others had fallen asleep in the land of dreams. Oh, good heavens, they'll never get away from there, said Mr. What's-his-name anxiously. We must rescue them. Come at once. Dame Washalot put her washtub of water on her head, and the angry pixie picked up a kettle of water. Mr. What's-his-name didn't take anything. They all went up the ladder to the top of the tree. They all went up the ladder at the top of the tree. The land of dreams is still there, said Silky, when her head popped over the top. I can't see that horrid Sandman anywhere. Now's a good chance to slip up and rescue the others. Come on. Up they all went. They all stared around the field of poppies, but they couldn't see any of the others. We must hunt for them, said Silky. Oh, look at that look at that great brown bear rushing along. I wonder if he knows anything about the others. She called out to him, but he didn't stop. He made a noise like a chicken and then rushed on. The 4 of them wandered on, and suddenly they saw something very puzzling coming towards them, something wide and white. Whatever can it be? Said Silky in wonder. Goodness me, it's a bed. And so it was, the very bed in which the 4 children and Moonface and Saucepan Man were asleep. Oh, look, squealed Silky, they're all there. Wake up, sillies, wake up. But they wouldn't wake up. They just sighed a little and turned over. Nothing that Silky or the others could do could wake them up. And in the middle of all this, there came footsteps behind them. Silky turned around and gasped. Oh, it's a Sandman. Don't let him throw his sand into your eyes, or you'll go to sleep too. Quick, do something. The Sandman was nearly dipping his hand into his big sack to throw sand into their eyes, but quick as lightning, Dame Washalot picked up her washing tub and threw all of the water over the sack. It wetted the sand that the Sandman couldn't throw it properly, and the angry pixie emptied the kettle over the Sandman himself, and he began to choke and splutter. What's his name stared. He suddenly took out his small pocket scissors and cut a hole in the bottom of the Sandman's sack, and the sand was dry there. What's his name took a handful of it and threw it at the spluttering Sandman's eyes. "Now you go to sleep for a bit," shouted What's his name, and of course that's just what the big Sandman did. He sank down under a bush and shut his eyes. His sleepy sand acted on him just as much as on anyone else. Now we've got a chance," said Sulky, pleased. "Help me wake the others, quick." But they just would not wake up. It was impossible. "Well, we can't possibly get the bed down the hole," said Silky in despair. Then a bright idea came to her. She felt in Joe's pocket. She turned out a little pink jar of whiz-away ointment. "There might just be a little left," she said. And there was, a very tiniest dab. "I hope it's enough," said Sulky. "Get on the bed, Dame Washalot, and you others. I'm going to try a little magic. Ready?" And she rubbed the dab of ointment onto the head of the bed. "Whiz away home, bed," she said. And wow! The big white bed whizzed away and whizzed away so fast that Silky nearly fell off. It rushed through the air, giving all the birds a dreadful scare. After a long time, it came to the end of the land of dreams. A big white cloud stretched out at the edge, and the bed flew through it. Down and down it went. Then it flew in another direction. "It's going back to the faraway tree, I'm sure," said Silky. And so it was. It arrived there and tried to get through the branches, but it stuck on one and slid sideways. Everybody began to slide off. Wake up," squealed Silky, shaking the children and Moonface and the Saucepan Man. They woke up in a hurry, as they were no longer in the dreamland. They felt themselves falling and caught hold of the branch and twigs. "Where are we?" cried Rick. "What has happened?" "Oh, goodness, too many things to tell you all at once," said Silky. "Is everyone safe? Then, for goodness sake, come into my house and sit down for a bit. I really feel quite out of breath."